Warning, this video may contain spoilers for late parts in the game. If you plan on playing this at some point, turn back now. You have been warned. I like the bosses in this game a lot. Pretty much every single one you need to actually think for, instead of just whacking the boss to death. Even some enemies need a little extra, at least until you get the Kaboomerang. There isn't going to be an honorable mention in this list, as this list actually contains all the bosses in the game, with mini bosses excluded because I like the bosses more. Now, let's get into the video. Sly is a nice boss battle. Nothing crazy, and usually don't like just whacking an enemy to death, but most of the game up to this point had been alluding to the battle happening, which just made the anticipation for it grow. It felt good to be essentially on equal ground with the boss, fighting with essentially the same skills and whatnot. Definitely not a tough fight, but a cool one. Fluffy was a cool boss on 3 levels, being a giant yeti, halfway through the fight being a giant robot yeti, and lastly actually being a giant robot yeti mech, as upon defeat it turns out it's being piloted by a dinosaur who is the real Fluffy. Yes, wild. This boss is a little bit difficult, but overall nothing too hard to handle. A really interesting concept though. Another bit of weirdness being a shark modified with robotics against its will, but still a little wild as you fight a shark in its own habitat, just being a Tasmanian tiger with boomerangs. Even the way you fight this boss is wild, needing to loosen oxygen tanks that are submerged in the water, which explodes in its mouth, allowing you to hit it. This is a really cinematic fight for me, as finally fighting the person who had been causing you annoyance throughout the entirety of the game, not only in a giant mech, but literally fighting on top of the giant mech and destroying it from the inside out to avenge your family in the game. Like, what could be more epic, as you destroy turrets and then use a guided missile boomerang to destroy its core. Man, this fight is great. Now, this is my favorite boss for a couple reasons. The first being a nice introduction to what will be the bosses of the game, needing more than a slap in the face with the boomerang. A good tone setter. The second being that, like Crikey, this is a reoccurring character throughout the series, even being writable in the second set of levels in the same game. A cool little bonus for a cool introductory boss. I really like the bosses throughout this game, as like I said, they require a bit more thought than the normal enemies you easily take out during most games. This game probably has my favorite bosses of the entire series in it. With that said, hope you enjoyed, and see you next video.
Wait.